Hello, folks, and welcome back to Chris Wyatt Africa. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. You know, one of the worst things when it comes to human rights violations and abuse of groups is when a majority uses that majority for tyranny over a minority. We've seen it play out throughout history. Throughout our history, we've seen it. Romans against Jews. Today's Chinese communists against a Uyghur minority. White Americans against a black American minority during the Jim Crow age and the age of slavery. We see it play out today in South Africa, where the majority rule the country almost exclusively, with virtually no power in the hands of minority whites, Indians, or coloreds. Now, many will dispute this and claim that so-called white monopoly capital runs the country and wealth disparity means that whites actually run the country. Well, in reality, that's not really true. Elites run the country. Elite, blacks and whites primarily. And they're ruining the country. What am I talking about today? The events of today, the 8th of February 2022, outside the courthouse, where AfriForum, a civil rights organization, has filed a lawsuit against the economic freedom fighters and Julius Malema.
We have just concluded our second day here in court in our case against Julius, Malema, Mbuyiseni, Ndlozi and the EFF for their singing of the chant, "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer." It went very well. Yesterday I was on the bench for almost the whole day, today for the whole day. We've just finished our examination in chief. Tomorrow I will be cross-examined, and the main focus of my testimony was about the extent of farm murders, the brutality of farm murders, and particularly the political side of it, including the impact of hate speech. I believe our legal team is doing a great job, and we are optimistic about this case.
Now, I've frequently talked about the economic freedom fighters and their masquerading as a political party when they're actually involved in inciting violence and domestic terrorist actions, and also their race hustling. But this goes beyond race hustling. This goes beyond hate speech. This is vile and repulsive. And the fact that this is not carried by mainstream media and talking about a group openly singing for the murder of a minority. We've seen this in Rwanda. We've seen this in Myanmar. We've seen the Rohingya being abused. The list goes on and on when a majority uses the tyranny and the facade of democracy to attack, marginalize, murder, or eliminate minorities. AfriForum's hate speech case against the leader of the economic freedom fighters, Julius Malema, and Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, as well as the economic freedom fighters, is underway at the South Gauteng High Court in Johannesburg from the 7th of February, scheduled through the 18th of February 2022. Now, AfriForum lodged their complaint back in October of 2020 after an event at Senegal in which the EFF sang "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer" outside the magistrate's court in Senegal in the Free State. Now, that's where the accused murderers have since been let go, no DNA evidence tying them to the crime. The accused murders of young Brendan Horner, a farm manager, not a farm owner, not a landowner, a farm manager, was brutally tortured, murdered, and left hanging from a post in the Free State on the occasion of his 21st birthday. Now, on the 20th of October 2020, Ndlozi also made inflammatory statements with Julius Malema present, which I covered live that day right here on Chris Wyatt Africa, the original channel, in which he incited arson, burn the Boer, burn them out. Shortly after that, over 92,000 hectares of farmland in the Free State and also Northern Cape were torched. The government tried to cover this story up by claiming that these were service delivery protesters. Of course, there was a mandatory lockdown in place at the time. No one was allowed to be on the streets at 4 a.m. when this supposedly occurred. So we're supposed to believe the government story that at 4 a.m., service delivery protesters rocked up in the middle of the countryside, not in a town where they could get attention from the press or obstruct traffic or get attention, but in the middle of the countryside, lit burning tires to stand at 4 o'clock in the morning, violating curfew during lockdown, just to protest service delivery in the middle of nowhere. And those tires magically rolled into the veld and began torching. Tens of thousands of head of livestock and wildlife were killed, brutally died. Farm workers' residences were going up in flames. One white South African farmer was seriously burned. Initially reported that he died, later reported that he survived, but horrific injuries. Don't know his status. This violence, and virtually no one's been brought to book for this, was incited by these two characters on the 20th of October 2020. Now, the problem for Malema is that as leader of the EFF, he was added to the case because he was present when that incitement to arson was there. He was standing right next to him, singing along with him. But Malema was found guilty of hate speech back in 2011 for singing that very song, Mbule Imbuhuni Shoot the Boer. Now, Supreme Court of Appeals also issued an order in which Malema is prevented from singing similar songs and that he must discourage his supporters from singing such songs. By being present while his supporters, thousands of them, were illicitly gathering, violating lockdown rules at Senegal on the 20th of October 2020, he broke that rule and is yet to pay a price for it. It is time for him to pay a price for it. Watch this video as Ernst Roets, the head of policy and action at AfriForum, and Ernst van Saal, among others, exit the courthouse today, the 8th of February 2022. Listen and watch as this group blocks public access and incites violence by singing Kill the Boer yet again.
Sorry guys.
Now, AfriForum has lodged this complaint in terms of the Equality Act, but it's also requesting the court, among other things, that it be referred for criminal prosecution. AfriForum's pleadings, the organization asked for an order that Malema, Ndlozi, and the EFF have committed hate speech. They must apologize publicly, and they must pay a fine to an organization that strives to combat hate speech. To which I would add, I would seek jail time for Julius Malema for violating the Supreme Court of Appeals order. He's clearly violated on multiple occasions. Never mind inciting domestic terrorism against Clicks, a black majority-owned company in South Africa, over an ad that a black IT manager placed on a website and was removed in a few hours. And then he sent his little minions out and they attacked over 40 Clicks locations around South Africa, including one with a petrol bomb. No criminal action, no charges against Julius Malema for that. This person is a danger to public safety, and he sits in Parliament. And worse yet, he sits on the Judicial Service Commission, which selects or recommends members for the court system. How can you have the fox in the henhouse? Julius Malema is a danger to public safety, and it is time that he be brought to book for his crimes. They are simply too numerous to enumerate here. Folks, if you're not a subscriber or follower of my program, please do. Help me overcome shadow banning and suppression of free speech. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Be sure to smash the like button right down there. If you're not a subscriber, become one and follow us. Stay updated on objective, independent journalist commentary and analysis from someone that's been there and done that. Thanks a lot, folks.